Welcome back to AndyTube. I'm happy you stopped by. I've had some requests recently for an updated series on restoring these button-style Singer foot controllers, or foot pedals as they're more commonly called. So that's my plan for this series. I do want to remind you all to use safety glasses or goggles whenever you're working with tools or chemicals. You know, protect your eyes at all times. And some of you may want to use some nitrile, vinyl, or latex gloves. When you get into the inside of this, the carbon dust can sneak into your skin pretty good. I mean, it comes off, so it's up to you, but depending on what we find inside, I often do use these. And I just have a couple screwdrivers, a needle nose, a pocket knife, some cotton pads, cotton Q-tips, metal polish, alcohol, and in here is my mixture of about 50% Krud Kutter, all-purpose degreaser cleaner that I've used before in all my videos, about a 50% solution mixed with water, and my favorite Tri-Flow oil. But if you're going to be working on yours, I'd really suggest you watch the whole series once I get it done, because you may not want to restore the whole thing. You may only want to do part of it. You may want to just do a little cleaning and adjusting and stuff like that. So of course you're following me at your own risk. You know, so be that as it may, one thing I frequently find, it's very common when I pick up a used machine, start testing it out and taking a look at it, it's very common that the foot controller or foot pedal is out of adjustment, it's real dirty. Sometimes as soon as you plug it in, it starts to get warm. It can get very hot even. Those are all signs that it needs to be cleaned and adjusted and maybe repaired and maybe replaced. But this one is typically real dirty and the cord's dirty, but it smells bad. It smells not, I guess, like mold, or what's the other one, but anyway, it smells really musty. So I don't know what's the deal. It doesn't look like water damage outside or anything, but maybe it was just in an area of a damp shed or storage room or basement. But here's the real common thing here. I have it plugged into the machine, and you know, as you start depressing this, you should start hearing the motor start to work, and you know, the sewing machine start to go into sewing mode, and you can see that I keep pushing it farther and farther down, and I don't get anything, and then all of a sudden I get a point where it just runs full blast. So that is very common. Yep, there I can get a little bit. Oh man, so that, like I said, that is one of the most common things that I found. Is it goes from, you hear the motor groan, or maybe the machine starts creeping, the needle starts creeping along, and then you push it a 32nd of an inch more and you're just full out. So that's a sign definitely of adjustment here. To open these up, there's 4 screws on the back side, and I should have taken 3 of them out. I know that's really boring to watch somebody take screws out. I kind of hate that when I watch videos, so I'll try and do better next time, guys. Sorry, I'm a little rusty. I haven't put up a video for about a month, and Had to get out of the Phoenix desert heat. Those 110, 115 day after day was wearing on me. I don't know how I worked out in that for 35 years. Maybe that's why I can't take it anymore. But I went up to Washington State to visit family, and I had to get in those 55-degree mornings and 75-degree days. Whew, that's like winter time here in Arizona, you know, so I had a good time. Once you get all the screws loosened, what I usually do is turn it over, because they're just going to start falling out. And sometimes the two parts don't want to separate. But usually if I push, whoop, let me unplug that before I open it up. That'd be a good idea. Come on. Okay, unplugged. If I push this down all the way and kind of pull up on the cover, there you see it breaks a seal. So that's usually how I pull it off, like that. This one doesn't look too bad inside for being how bad it smells. You watch for spiders and stuff in here too. I found those. So here's the little mechanism and the cord coming in. And let's go ahead and take off the 4 screws and the rubber pads. These are kind of ingenious little rubber pads. It's just like a typical Cheerio or donut pad on the bottom, but it has this built up part that fits over the corner. I used to be able to get these for about 50 cents, and last time I looked they're $2.50 to $2.95 each. So I'll show you how to clean these up and care for them. These are not worn bad at all, so I'm very happy about that. And here's the 4 screws. They're all the same size. They're all identical, and they just pass through the rubber pad, you know. So that this corner thing that slips on the corner of the base is what's pressured by the upper cover, and the screw is not what hold this on. The screw only holds the base to the cover. So, and here's what we want to look at first, and just as I suspected, see how kind of loose and floppy this is? This is when you push on it, you see how it's going in now? When you push on this button on the top, it goes in and it compresses these carbon discs that are in ceramic tubes closer together. And it's a carbon resistor type system. So when the discs are compressed closer and closer, they offer less resistance to the flow of electricity, and you get more power, and therefore more power to the motor, and more power to the motor means faster sewing speed. And this should be up flush or inside here, and this is kind of floppy and loose. So there's a screw here that screws up into all the way through this bracket, adjusting bracket, which screws into the base of this hinge type of thing for the button. So I can see, you see that nut right there, how it's loose? This should be adjusted so that that nut is up against these retaining plates. So I can see that this is out of adjustment, and that it needs to be readjusted, and we'll do that as we clean this up. But let's go ahead and dismantle it. Take these top 2 screws off. These hold the wiring in place. And this is a good time to advise you that if you're not familiar with doing this, to take some snapshots, take pictures as you go, so that when you go to put it back on, you realize that the crooked wire goes on the right side and the straight wire to the left, and get some good pictures of everything. So when you go to reassemble it, which might be hours, days, or weeks later, you know that you're familiar with how it goes back together. So these are just protector sleeves, and they've got a crimp on here with a mounting ring that can lock into some little tabs there in the future. And let's go ahead and unplug this from the machine and get this out of the way. I'll be showing you how to clean the cord, and we'll take a look in here too, in case you're curious of what one of these. This older type has screws. The newer ones are molded plugs, so you might want to see what's in there. I'll show you that later. Let me get it out of the way, and let's go ahead and take the back end off here and see if we can't open up, get this spring and the contacts out of here. So the best way is hold that little nut with your finger and turn the screwdriver lefty loosey, and just keep turning it until you can get this back part off and the spring out. We'll take a look at the contacts in here and see. Chances are very high that there's going to be built up carbon deposits, which can prevent a certain amount of electricity from flowing through. Once you get that nut off, you can just pull this assembly out, and there is a little bit of rust on this spring that I usually don't see, so maybe some water did get in here. It smells pretty musty, so I think it did get moisture, a lot of moisture here. But here's the contacts that press against the carbon resistors. I'll show you in a minute, and you can see these black spots. That is built up carbon, and we're going to clean and polish that before we put it back together, so I won't do that now. Now that you've got that nut and assembly off, you can pull this bracket out. Come on, you can work it out between the tabs here, maybe, or maybe not. Yeah, pretty tight fit on this one, I guess. Let's go ahead and take these little stop connector tabs off of the front here. There's just two screws right here, so we'll take those off. They're little guys. I don't need my hollow point screws on any of the screwdriver on any of these, because they're all just snug tight. Even ones that are 67 years old like this and haven't been opened up, I don't have to do too much to get them to loosen. My bigger screwdriver on this one is real tight. After I said I don't need my hollow points, huh? Okay. And I'd like to polish all this up just so when we get it back together, I feel it's fully restored, and it has every chance to perform like it's brand new. I had a fellow, Michael Lang, recently emailing me about a Singer 503 he'd picked up at a thrift shop in the table, in the cabinet, for 35 bucks, I think he said. And he got it home, he polished it all up and oiled it, and he just loves it. He didn't say what he's using it for, but he's just can't believe he could get such a good machine like this. But his question to me was about when he would press on the button, you could hear the motor groan, but it wouldn't start. So he'd give the hand wheel a good spin, and then the machine would take off and do great. And I had him do some troubleshooting, but it turned out it was the pedal. And when he opened this up and took it apart, there was just a big mess in there, a big pile of destroyed carbon and powder and cracked carbon discs and everything. And he offered to send them to me, the pedal. So he bought a new electronic pedal, and I couldn't say no, so I just got a email that the post office said they're going to deliver that today. So I'm going to, if you saw the preview, you saw that pile of carbon discs. That was a picture he sent me. So I'm looking forward to having the real pieces here to show you. Anyway, take these two black screws off the top, and now you can lift this kind of a baked-like ceramic carbon resistor assembly right off. Okay, just like that. And you're going to see these two little fiber pads down here, and just gently take them off. Don't force them because they can crack. And we don't clean these, we just protect them so we can put them on later. And that might be a good picture for you to take, to remember that the pads go on first before the carbon assembly does. So now we've got our base unit that still stinks and it's free. We've got our cover off and free. Got the button, just slides in and out, no problem. And I've got my little magnetic holder of all my screws and springs and tabs and everything. And I just wanted to tell you, before you take this off, get a good picture of this, because as this assembles back in place, this little retaining tab has two ears on the side that go towards the button, and it has two little ears on the top that face the cord side. I hope you can see those. And when you reassemble this guy, you want those top tabs to face the back like that, so that this actually locks into the top, and your screw is going to go through the resistor assembly, and this acts as the retaining nut in the front. And the little small brass nut, wherever I put it here, acts as the retaining nut in the back, like that. So that's another good thing to get a picture of, to remind yourself that the top tabs face the cord and the side tabs face the button. Okay? Wanted to be sure and tell you that, because I goofed up on that the first time I did one of these and couldn't get it to stay adjusted, and that was why. Alright, so let's get all these parts here. So we, except for the carbon stack inside the resistor housing, we now have everything pretty much disassembled. I have the carbon resistor assembly. I have the top cover. I have the bottom plate. I have the button, and I have my little parts, all my little metal parts, including my rusty spring and my dirty burnt contact spring there. So let's see, where's my dirty smelly cord too? Yep, got all that. So that's a good that's a really good start. That's a disassembly of it. In the next part, I'm going to show you how to clean all this, and including the little rubber feet, kind of how to restore those. And come back and join me for part 2 of the mini-series, Restoring a Singer Button Style Foot Pedal or Foot Controller. It's nice to see you again. Come back and see me. Take care.